Hi, and welcome to the Cloud Design Box User Adoption Podcast. I'm Darren Hemming. Here with me today is Glaucia Rosas and James Wilkinson from the EduTec Alliance. Hi, both.
Hi, Darren. Good to be back.
You did come and see us a couple of months ago where you promised you'd come back and you'd tell us the results of some research that you've been doing into AI. Have you had a chance to get those facts and figures together for us, James?
Sure have. Just a bit of a background then. I think like everyone else back in the end of 2023, when ChatGPT was launched and the whole market was buzzing with this power of generative AI, we started thinking, okay, so what could the benefits be for schools and the education system? And it really stemmed back to there's been a lot of AI winters, and maybe this was the time that AI was really going to step up. And back in 2020, I think McKinsey had published a paper saying, if AI was available, it could save 20 to 30% of teacher time through various use cases and assessments and writing material for lessons, etc., etc. But of course, generative AI wasn't around then, so they couldn't really prove it. So we said, well, why don't we set up an empirical test, get some schools to work with us, and let's see whether these use cases of making schools more efficient through AI are actually going to come true. And at that time, as well, the floodgates opened in terms of EdTech AI tools hitting the marketplace.
Yeah.
A lot of them with venture funding from the US, but a lot of them being produced by teachers and educators who just said, okay, I can do something, bolt it onto ChatGPT, and let's see how it goes. So I think our database is now, or knowledge base is now at about 250 of these tools. But we thought, okay, what a great opportunity. We can see whether the use cases that were predicted really hold water. And we can also see which tools really deliver and which tools are just kind of marketing hype. So super lucky. We have some great school partners in Asia, Middle East, and the criteria was you've got to take this seriously. And they actually were taking AI seriously. They created the post of head of AI to look at to research what AI implications were for the school. So tools, policy, usage, the whole works. And we said, okay, it's quid pro quo, it's free. And the deal is you tell us your experiences on the use cases and the tools, and we'll share with you, AI trends in the market and also synthesize the experiences of the other schools. So it's kind of hub and spoke. We sit in the hub and we use our knowledge base to kind of synthesize all the data. We meet once a month with all the schools that are participating, and share kind of in and out what the experiences have been over the previous month. And to cut a long story short, I think each school was investigating probably about 10 different use cases. Use cases in terms of content creation, lesson creation, etc., etc., etc. And each use case on average had about 4 or 5, but some were up to 20 different tools that were being trialed. And the two standout things, and this is after about a year, is that the number one use case where there is traction is in assessment and evaluation of student work. But even then, there's some question marks. Large language models have biases in them. They also have a kind of, it's called doubling down, where they'll produce an assessment and they've challenged them to say why. They'll double down on why they've done it, even though it's wrong.
That sounds just like me.
So yeah, they're definitely developing character. But that then raises issues to the quality of the assessment. So it it has the potential to be one of the biggest time savers. It has the potential to add a lot of value, but the jury's still out. The other finding is, after going through lots and lots of these different AI tools that are in the marketplace, and obviously the sales and marketing is quite aggressive because the venture capitalists want some money back. Most schools have said we're going to settle on one tool to effectively be our core AI tool. And I'm not going to mention any names here, but there's some standard names in the market, and we're going to take it step by step. That's going to be our official tool. We're going to do training for the staff on that tool, training for the students on that tool, and we'll officially support that tool. If people want to use tools outside, then fine, but it's not official. And also schools are creating usage policies, if you like, determining where AI, both for students and teachers, where AI can be used and in what context it can be used. So
sorry, James, there's a question about safety, isn't there? If you're using, I don't know what you call it, dark AI, hidden AI, shadow AI. If you're using that, you're not really sure if you're putting data into it, especially data about students, personal data and what have you, or marks and grades. You don't really know where that's going. I mean, I suppose if it's an educational tool, can you have more confidence? If you go to some of the education shows and they're actually showing there, can you have more confidence that they are safe places to put your work, or not?
$60 million question, or $100 million question. It's very difficult. I mean, you've got the big players. So you've got Microsoft, Google, who are basically saying, okay, you're for their education environments, your tenant is effectively the walled garden, and there's almost like osmosis. The LLM can come in to give results, but your data won't go out. So that's really a trust thing. Okay, maybe they're not training the LLM with the data, but what else are they doing with the data? And actually that gets, I say, compounded nowadays, because there's something called retrieval augmented generation, where companies and schools were basically saying, okay, so we can put our data into our own little database, and then the AI will mix it in with the LLM to give us the answers. And that was back when. Nowadays, because the token windows are widened, so it's millions of tokens, the market is saying rag's dead, just throw everything at the LLM. Now, of course, that's fine. It's a lot easier, but also it creates a lot more security risks. So, it's one of the biggies. Virtually all the commercially available tools are front ends of the big LLMs, be it Google's Gemini, be it OpenAI's ChatGPT from Microsoft. So if anything changes on the back end, they have no capacity to do anything but accept that change. So it is, it's tricky, which is why people are taking it step by step.
So knowing all that, then, what do you think would be the challenges for teachers taking this down into the classroom? What are the challenges for teachers using AI in the near future? And also, is there anything that maybe governance or cloud service providers can do to help navigate through these potential mires of AI problems?
Darren, that's a great question. AI has incredible potential in education, but the challenges are just as huge. I will mention here just 4 that we foresee for the near future. So the first point concerns AI literacy and critical thinking. Many teachers are obviously, and school leaders as well, obviously overwhelmed by AI rapid evolution. And it's not just about learning new tools, it's also about understanding AI strengths and weakness, and also teaching students how to think critically while using it. Not familiar if you have heard of the term cognitive offloading, is where students rely on AI without questioning or analyzing its outputs. And this is real, and it will have impacts in the learning, but also in their cognitive development. So what we see is that, schools must train teachers not on just, how to use AI, but also how to guide their students in evaluating AI-generated content critically. Probably governments need to embed AI literacy into teacher training programs as well, not only leaving this to schools to train them, to ensure that it's a sustainable and responsible use of AI in the classroom. Another point, sorry.
I was just agreeing with you. Sorry. That seems a really good idea. The idea that you have kind of almost a national or multinational even approach to AI, that you say, okay, these are the things teachers need to know. These are the things teachers need to be thinking about when they're working with students and AI. And these are the expectations that teachers need to set, in the same way as, yes, you can have a calculator in maths, but you also still need to know your numbers. It's just sometimes if you're doing lots of adding up very quickly and you're accounting, you can do it very quickly. And they need to have those same expectations on students, that you don't offload the responsibility for thinking. You use the AI, but then you interpret the results critically.
Exactly. And this is also has to do with learning sciences, and this, which, if it's not in the official, training program for teachers, should be there, but this should be in that curriculum as well. So cognitive offload, and how to pass this on to children so that they are responsible and familiar with that as well. No.
Fantastic. Now those couple of findings that you've discovered, or I think it's really interesting, and actually one of those was surprising for me, because I assumed that a lot of the use of AI would be on generative. It would be teachers creating teaching materials, creating PowerPoints and presentations, and teachers creating questions and rubrics and all those kinds of things, and also perhaps the students using AI to create. It's really interesting to me that actually because when you do research, sometimes you find out stuff that's surprising. That's the point of doing it. And it was really surprising to me that actually the main usage was more about almost kind of auto marking student work, interpreting the work that students had done. But we're not talking multiple choice questions yet, James. We're talking extended writing, 1,000-word essays and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's empirical, but when you get the answer from multiple schools, it becomes obvious, because if you've got, I suppose in the old days, cursive submissions, you had to read them. Now, they can be scanned in. The computer can read cursive if it's not being, submitted on a digital basis. And what we're hearing is AI doesn't get the final say, but AI does get to kind of run through the bulk. And so it's almost like, you can imagine you've got the essay, but you've got a little summary attached to the front of it with some standout points from the AI that the teacher can then take in, and maybe not need to spend so much time reading, researching what was written. In a sense, I suppose it comes back to what you were saying before, it's AI as a support mechanism, just as we had Google search as a support mechanism, Wikipedia as a support mechanism, because all it is if this then that. I mean, it's just a quicker way of memorizing information. I mean, that's all the LLMs are doing. They're memorizing, and a lot of the studies at the moment are showing that when they haven't memorized, they're really bad at reasoning, and they're really bad at solving problems. So think of it. I think if we think of LLMs and AI at the moment as a massively compressed source of information, but that's quick on retrieval, that's probably the way to be going.
Fantastic. And what are your plans at EduTec Alliance to to keep tracking this phenomenon and to come back and give us more reports and more information? Are you going deeper now? Are you narrowing the field and maybe not looking at some of the different tools, but focusing in? What are your plans now for the research over the next 6 months or so?
Glaucia?
Well, we're going to continue our program with the Lighthouse and see how, because it's evolving very quickly as well. And we want to keep track of how it's evolving in the schools that we are already working with. We are planning to expand this opportunity to participate as well in this Lighthouse program for other schools. But we did want to have like a small group first to make sure we could work closely with them. And now we're ready to expand to new schools who wants to join and explore the possibilities, right, James?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think the initial excitement, excitement's probably the wrong word, but the initial, oh my God, we've got to get on board, we've got to do AI. That's past now. I think it really is saying, how can we both use AI in the school, both for the admin side, because with the AI at the moment is moving towards agentic, so having little AI agents that are responsible for doing things, as opposed to having a chat GPT or chatbot window that's just spitting out stuff. And so the next phase is really to say, how do the use cases with the traditional generative bed down and mature, but also where is agentic actually useful within schools? So yeah, it's evolving. I think the participant schools, from what we hear, they quite like hearing what other schools are doing from a kind of pragmatic basis, but also they quite like hearing where the industry in general is going. And what may be some of the upsides, but also some of the traps. So yeah, we'll keep it going. I think we'll keep it going for a while. I think we'll expand for some other participants, and maybe we can feed back in, I don't know, this time next year and let you know where it's gone.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll book that in now.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that a final thought on that is that to truly benefit from AI, schools will need a structured long-term approach. And I think they're fine if they're not working in a structured way, they're already finding out they have too many challenges to do this on their own. So it's not just a tool adoption, but it's a mindset shift in teaching and learning and governance in everything in the school. So at the EduTec Alliance, through this AI Lighthouse Schools program, we're helping them to separate what's hype from reality by tracking, as James said, the AI real world impact. So if schools, governors, or cloud providers work together, AI can really enhance learning without replacing this critical thinking, but strategy must always come first, for sure.
Fantastic. Glaucia, thank you so much for seeing us today. James, thank you as well. And I look forward to seeing you here in a year's time. I'll pop that in the calendar now.
Well, we'll mark it in with pleasure.
I'm sure we'll talk before then. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you.